The Boston Red Sox 2024 season was full of some highs, but also full of some lows. All of that on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Hurlbut, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part, it's completely free. So you might as well tune in every day because Locked On is always here for you. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Happy Friday. Welcome to the show. Another day passes, and the Red Sox still have not made another move. According to baseball executives who have been interacting with Major League Baseball GMs, Craig Breslow is supposedly working on trying to get some deals done. But from the outside, it can really seem like the Red Sox are being quiet. And honestly, that's frustrating because we all got super excited about the Garrett Crochet move, which, again, as you all know by now, I loved. He's going to be a great addition to the rotation. I think he really has a chance to excel in Boston. But the problem for me is that can't be the only move they make. They need to make some more moves in order to build a competitive team for 2025. And that's going to take being aggressive, making moves, getting out of their comfort zone, and doing some things that they might not have thought they wanted to do. So that involves spending some money. Will the Red Sox spend money? We have yet to see. But on today's show, I'm going to be looking back at the 2024 season, going to be looking at some highs and some lows from that season. And also Fenway Fest released its attendee list the other day. So going to be going over who all is going to be there for the exciting event on January 11th in order for you to go and have the chance to meet. So the Boston Red Sox 2024 season, if I could pick one word to describe how it went, I would say frustrating. Because every time it felt like they were gaining momentum, they would either get another injury that would halt their progress or something would start to fall apart. They just couldn't put everything together at the same time. When the starting pitching was on point, they weren't hitting. When both of those were hitting, the bullpen was a complete mess. And they just couldn't seem to make everything click at the right time or really all together at any point during the season. So frustrating is definitely a word I would use because I do feel like from a straight talent standpoint, if they had been fully healthy all season long, they would have been able to have a little bit better of a season than they did. I don't think they would have gone to the World Series or anything, but I do think that they could have made the playoffs if they had been healthy all year and weren't having to use backup players at a variety of positions. But there were some highs that came with the 2024 season, and I do want to discuss some of those highs. So one high was the breakout season of Jarren Duran and just how big of a year he had for this Red Sox team. He was super exciting to watch from day one, and he was somebody who you could rely on a daily basis to contribute. And I've been saying on the show for a while that every single night during the season this past year, when I was talking about a Red Sox game and breaking down what happened, I would always find myself talking about Duran in some capacity because he played in nearly every game of the season. And in every game he played in, he did something to contribute, even if he just stole a base, because that alone is putting pressure on the opposing pitcher and putting him into scoring position. So even if he just stole one base, but didn't have a good offensive performance, he still found a way to make a difference. And that's what a good baseball player does. He's able to contribute in multiple capacities so that even if one aspect of his game isn't going as well as he would have hoped for it to go, he has something else that he can do that makes up for it, that contributes to the team in the same kind of way and makes him feel like he's still important. Obviously, he won All-Star Game MVP and was just really putting himself on the map during the 2024 season, but we were really able to see in full this past year what he can do as an all-around baseball player in terms of his consistency at the plate in the leadoff spot, really developing into that true leadoff hitter, being able to steal bases, like I mentioned, being able to play really good defense in the outfield because he can utilize his speed to gain a lot of ground out there. So there were many different aspects of Duran's game that I liked. So if you can look at some positives from the season, that's certainly one of them, that the Red Sox appear to have their leadoff hitter of the future. Now they just need to get the right combination of hitters to go with him behind his spot, like Devers, and getting hopefully a strong right-handed bat to pair with Devers in the Red Sox lineup. So that certainly was a high from the 2024 season, was the emergence of Jarren Duran in the season that he had. The other high is that we learned simply that the kids can play. Guys like Wilyer, Abreu, Ceddanne, Rafaela, David Hamilton, those guys all had the chance to play regularly this past year, and each of them took steps forward, which allowed the Red Sox to stay remotely in the playoff conversation when Story and Casas were on the injured list for several months of the season at the same time. They were super fun to watch as well. I mean, Wilyer, Abreu, obviously winning a Gold Glove and also being one of the most consistent offensive players on the team. Rafaela definitely needs more work at the plate and needs to show some more plate discipline and consistency. But he also, from a defensive standpoint, was super fun to watch. And the fact that he provides a lot of versatility between his speed in the bottom of the lineup, plus also his ability to play both in the infield and in the outfield, which should serve the Red Sox well for the future. So I have seen some people who have said that the Red Sox should trade Rafaela. That's not happening. One, because they just extended him. So they wouldn't extend him if they intended on him potentially being a trade piece. And two, his versatility alone is valuable for a team like the Red Sox, which, look at all the injuries they had in 2024. He was able to slot in as needed, either playing center field or playing shortstop. And that is beneficial for the Red Sox in itself. And three, his trade value wouldn't necessarily be crazy high because of his lack of productivity offensively. He wasn't a bad hitter by any means, according to his numbers, but he was an average hitter, and he definitely needs to cut down on the swings and misses a lot and wanting to swing at every pitch and having a better understanding of the strike zone and what he should be swinging at. So he still has work to do, but he showed a lot of potential as a rookie, and I only anticipate that he's going to continue to get even better. Then you have David Hamilton, who got to play more than I think anybody thought he was going to this past season, because obviously you can't anticipate injuries, and he was playing due to injuries. And he was another player who brought speed on the base pads. And when he was in those games, he was batting second behind Jarren Duran. So you had that 1-2 punch of guys who were both able to provide speed. And then you had Rafaela in the 9-hole, who also was able to provide speed in that realm and steal some bases for the Red Sox. So you had that trio of guys who could put a lot of pressure on opposing pitchers. So I really liked what I saw from David Hamilton as well. So you have those players who showed a lot of potential and promise for the Red Sox future as they look to try to build a team around the young talent. So that's another high that took place in 2024. And the other development that was considered a high is the trio of Tanner Houck, Cutter Crawford, and Brian Bello, who all got opportunities to grow as mainstays in the rotation in 2024. Bello did struggle with consistency early on, but got significantly better with that in the second half. And Houck and Crawford both did hit speed bumps around mid-season, but it was a strong development year for all three of them because they all got pushed to the 30-start plateau for the first time in their careers while also achieving personal bests in innings. So that was huge for the Red Sox development as an overall starting rotation. And that's why when we talk about what the rotation is going to look like for 2025, yes, they still need another arm for me to feel really confident in them competing as a rotation, but you have this trio of guys who were able to stretch themselves out in 2024. And I only anticipate that to work in their favor heading into 2025 as they all look to continue to grow their games. So that was certainly another bright spot for the Red Sox this past season, was those guys being able to really develop and get the opportunities that Red Sox fans were hoping that they would get, because Tanner Houck never used to be a guy who could pitch deep into games. He had a lot of inconsistency when he would see a lineup for the third time through. So now that they were able to stretch him out in 2024, hopefully he'll be able to be a pitcher that can go the distance in 2025, because the reality is the Red Sox need starters who can go deep. And if they can get that, then their whole bullpen won't be tired out because of the fact that the starters are pitching deeper into games. So I'm excited about the development of a lot of young talent on this team. As frustrating as the season was, these are guys who I anticipate will continue to grow and develop. And I am excited to see what they can do and what the future holds. And coming up, I'm going to be discussing some lows that the Red Sox experienced during 2024, because we definitely saw a lot of frustration from this Red Sox team. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features is the subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I wasn't using anymore, and I've already saved a ton of money. Plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future. No more stressing about budgeting every month. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. I am telling you, nobody wants to pay for things that they're not using or don't even know they are. So it can be an absolute lifesaver for you. You know what else can be a lifesaver for you? If you have the right life insurance. The World Series, Super Bowl, the Olympics, the world's top athletes get to play in these top-level sporting events thanks to one thing: teamwork. And teamwork can also protect your financial legacy and your family's future. SelectQuote's licensed insurance agents are the perfect teammates when shopping for customized, affordable life insurance. They can find you the right policy to keep your financial legacy safely in your family's end zone. SelectQuote is one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, helping over 2 million customers find over $700 billion in coverage since 1985. And these policies are more affordable than you think. You could get coverage for up to $1 million for as little as $20 per month. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/lockedon. Go to selectquote.com/lockedon today to get started. That's selectquote.com/lockedon. It's so important to have a good life insurance policy. At the end of the day, nothing's guaranteed in life here. So definitely would rather be safe than sorry. So head to Select Quote and they can help you find the perfect plan that's right and affordable for you and your family. In talking about the Boston Red Sox 2024 season, I discussed a few of the highs that came out of that season, the development of a lot of the young talent on the team, guys having breakout years, and the Red Sox having an established, core of players that will be able to contribute in the future. And going into 2025, I only anticipate that core is going to continue to improve and be able to be part of the overall picture for the Red Sox for years to come. And when talking about the 2024 season, obviously those highs were there, but it also came with lots of lows, specifically all of the injuries that they had between Tyler O'Neill missing a good amount of time with injury, Rafael Devers battling his shoulder injury all season long and playing through it for pretty much the whole season, but obviously struggling a little bit at the plate because of it. Hopefully he's getting that resolved now so he can go into the season feeling ready to go and fully healthy for when the season starts. Trevor Story missing most of the season. Triston Casas missing most of the season. Wilyer Abreu developing a freak injury falling down the dugout stairs. I mean, you can't make this up. There were so many injuries, and not even to mention the pitching side. James Paxton comes in and makes a part of one start for the Red Sox and then has to be pulled from the game because he's injured, a guy that they traded for at the trade deadline. Justin Slayton, who was their best reliever all year, was getting injured. Chris Martin wasn't healthy all season long. So you name it, the injuries were piling up for this Red Sox team, and it allowed for younger players who had been in the minors to get called up and get some experience and exposure to the major league level, which is good for them, but it was frustrating how the Red Sox had to platoon guys at certain positions, like when they had Garrett Cooper and Dom Smith platooning at first base. I mean, what a disaster that was. Cooper just did not do anything substantial. So then they ended up getting rid of him and just had Dom Smith, who really did turn things around towards the second half of his time in Boston. And I give him credit because he knew that eventually Casas would be coming back and the Red Sox would no longer need him. But he still went out there and played with heart every single game and was able to grow as a player defensively a little bit as the season progressed. And he contributed with the bat. So I ended up becoming a big Dom Smith fan, but even at second base with Vaughn Grissom being injured, the Red Sox had to find guys to platoon at that position as well. That's when you saw guys like Manuel Valdez, David Hamilton, guys like that coming in to play that position. Romy Gonzalez, even a guy who can also kind of bounce around positions. You saw these guys kind of alternating playing that position because they didn't have a defined second baseman. And not to mention the fact that because Story was injured, they had to platoon some of those guys at shortstop too. So with the number of injuries that they had, it was hard for them to really stay consistent all year and be able to get a lot of production out of everybody, and they couldn't maximize where they were at. I mean, imagine if they had a full season of healthy Garrett Whitlock. I like him better out of the pen. I've said this since the beginning. So if they had had him healthy, that would have been a big boost to this Red Sox team. He likely would have pitched out of the rotation because that's what the plan was for him last year. And he originally was pitching out of the rotation, but then when he got hurt, they brought in Cooper Criswell to take his spot in the rotation. But pitching out of the pen to me is where he's in his element. And I feel like a lot of the injuries have come from them trying to stretch him out as a starter. So I think shorter relief stints of 1 to 2 innings for Whitlock is where he excels the most and where they could get the most out of him. So hopefully if he's fully healthy going into 2025, which he is supposed to be, that they put him back in the pen and that they maximize his potential there. But then even guys like Liam Hendriks and Lucas Giolito, they could have contributed as strong arms for the Red Sox if they were healthy also, which obviously the Red Sox knew they both wouldn't be able to play going into the season, but hopefully they're big boosts to this team in 2025. I'm actually expecting good things from Lucas Giolito. He doesn't need to be an ace, but if he can eat innings and be a decent middle of the pack starter, that would be good enough for me. So those guys are going to be hopefully big contributors going into 2025. But that was one of the biggest lows for the Red Sox this past season, was the fact that they just experienced so many injuries. It was like every day somebody else was going on the IL. It was crazy. There were so many players. The injured list was long every single day. So that was kind of bad luck and things they can't control. And that was obviously a low. The bullpen as a whole in the second half of the season was an extreme low, because the wheels just fell off the bus. Craig Breslow tried to trade for a couple relievers to help out the bullpen a little bit. Neither of them really performed to the best of their ability, and then they both ended up getting injured and couldn't pitch anyway at that point. But just the overall fall off in the second half of the Red Sox rotation and bullpen in general, but even more so the bullpen, was mind-blowing. I mean, the rotation in general didn't have as much of a fall off as the bullpen, but they did struggle a little bit more in the second half. And I think it had to do a lot with fatigue for guys like Tanner Houck and Cutter Crawford, and them being stretched out to more than what they're used to. So hopefully that can be prevented this upcoming season, now that they've been broken into throwing in those roles and having longer starts. But the bullpen, I mean, they blew way too many games in the second half. And it was frustrating because the offense would try and they were chipping away at runs, and then the bullpen would come into the game and completely blow it. And it was like some wheels fell off the bus after the All-Star break with this bullpen. And that's why they should have a new and improved bullpen heading into 2025. At least you can hope. They are banking on Liam Hendriks and Garrett Whitlock coming in and having big years after missing last season. So that's something that the Red Sox are really relying on to help boost the bullpen. They've gotten a couple arms to help out in that pen, and they have a couple returning guys that I really like. Luis Guerrero is a name that comes to mind, and also Justin Slayton, obviously, who was super consistent in the pen this past year. So hopefully the bullpen as a whole is better in 2025. But my gosh, when thinking about just what went wrong for the Red Sox in 2024, that bullpen was pretty much the storyline of every loss in the second half of the season. They just could not get it together, and it was so incredibly frustrating to watch, because it felt like even if the offense was scoring 6 runs, it didn't even matter, because the bullpen would find a way to give up all those runs. It was insane and pretty painful to watch, actually. But another area of struggle for the Red Sox in 2024 was their defense. They have to get better in that area, particularly in the infield. It was a major issue for the second straight year, because they had this issue in 2023 also. And the common thread is Trevor Story missing the majority of games in both of those seasons. Because I had said so many times, Trevor Story might not have the best bat on the team, but his defense is why he's here. And his defense really helps make the Red Sox infield look a lot more together and coherent. And when he's not out there, it's a noticeable difference defensively. So if he can stay on the field for 2025, that should stabilize things a lot, given his excellence at shortstop and just his status as a widely respected veteran. So he just needs to stay on the field. I need to see a lot more consistency from him with the bat, but to me, it seems like he's determined to have a bounce back year going into this season, and he is so ready to prove to Red Sox fans that he's worth the money that they gave him when they brought him here. And that would be massive. But that defense was a huge liability. And I know I've made fun of Bobby Dahlbeck on the show before. I mean, who hasn't? His offense is absolutely putrid in the majors. He's like a minor league king, but can't contribute at the major league level, and he just can't seem to convert those skills when he gets called up. And it's so frustrating, because I always want to root for him, but I just can't, because he cannot figure things out at the plate. But he's a good defender, really good at first base in the field when he was playing there, and that was a promising thing about Bobby Dahlbeck's game. So hopefully, obviously now with Casas being back, assuming he doesn't get traded, like some people have thrown out there that he could, he's going to be the first baseman, and he's hopefully going to be able to play good defense. He learned a lot from Justin Turner the prior year, who would platoon on that position with him. So hopefully he can carry that into 2025 now that he'll be healthy heading into the season. But the defense was definitely a low spot for the Red Sox in 2024 that led to them losing a lot of games. But if you look at the lineup as a whole, that certainly was a high because they were able to put up a lot of competitive offensive numbers and they could hit. So that's really promising moving forward. If Trevor Story is able to stay healthy, the infield defense should hopefully be a lot better. If they can acquire a right-handed bat, the offense will get even stronger than it already was in 2024. And they'll be able to see some more improvement from a lot of the young players. So that's promising, but some of the lows were very, very low. And those were some of the biggest lows for the 2024 season. Next, Fenway Fest is coming up here in a few short weeks, and the Red Sox did release the attendee list for that. So I'm going to be discussing who's all going to be part of that party next. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. FanDuel is a great way to make lots of money. And if you want to change your life, I highly recommend using it. I've seen it firsthand how much money you can actually make on it. So make sure that you download the app today and start placing bets. There are so many sports at this time of year, so it's a fun time of year to be able to get on FanDuel and experiment. So definitely do that as you're listening to this show. So the Red Sox have changed the general structure of winter weekend, which they did announce previously that they were thinking about doing. And then it came out recently that they were changing it, and it's now no longer going to be a 2-day event because they used to have the town hall event on Friday where a lot of Red Sox executives would be there. Fans could show up and ask questions, but they've eliminated that part altogether. And then the Saturday portion was when they did the meet and greets, like the autograph sessions with players and coaches and Red Sox alumni, and they have a lot of other activities. So they're still doing that on Saturday, January 11th, before the team leaves to head to spring training, which is also right around the corner, by the way, which is super exciting. But they have announced the list of attendees that are going to be at Fenway Fest, which is very exciting. So for players, we have Wilyer Abreu, Brennan Bernardino, Cam Boozer, Triston Casas, Cutter Crawford, Garrett Crochet, which is exciting, new Red Sox edition, Rafael Devers, Richard Fitz, Romy Gonzalez, Vaughn Grissom, Louis Guerrero, Liam Hendricks, Zach Kelly, Zach Penrod, Quinn Preister, who the Red Sox also traded for at this past trade deadline, Rob Refsnyder, Justin Slayton, Nick Sogard, Garrett Whitlock, Josh Winkowski, Connor Wong, and Masataka Yoshida. The first thing I thought about, which is funny when I saw this, was that I saw Yoshida's name and I was like, well, I guess that means he's not getting traded. But I guess you still never know, but I just find it kind of funny. I just don't think he has a ton of value right now. But those are the players that will be there. And it's exciting that Devers is going to be there because he wasn't at winter weekend last year. So it'll be nice to have him around to interact with the fans. And I'm glad they got Garrett Crochet to be able to go to kind of start warming himself up to Red Sox Nation a little bit. And I'm excited to see Liam Hendricks. I've always loved him as a player. So it'll be exciting to see him there, as well as some of our other favorites like Triston Casas and guys like Garrett Whitlock or Connor Wong or Rob Refsnyder even. These are guys who I'll be excited to see, and it'll be interesting to meet some of them. So that's the list of current players that is going. In regards to alumni, stacked list here: Dennis Eckersley, Dwight Evans, Carlton Fisk, Johnny Gomes, Brock Holt, Fred Lynn, Pedro Martinez, Lou Merloni, Bob Montgomery, David Ortiz, Jim Rice, and Jared Saltalamacchia. I mean, talk about this list of players. I love Pedro, one of my favorite all-time Red Sox players ever. So I love how he's out in the community a lot and is going to events like this. Same with Ortiz. He's always at these kinds of events, signing autographs for fans, taking pictures. It's great when you have players like that who are willing to be out in the community in that way. Then you have guys like Fred Lynn, Red Sox legend. Brock Holt, my guy, love him. Mr. Hitting for the Cycle during the 2018 World Series run. He's so fun, and I love his personality. So lots of great guys on this list. I mean, Dennis Eckersley, obviously another legend. Jim Rice, I mean, to talk about legends. Great list here. Carlton Fisk. I mean, so many solid names. This is a great list of Red Sox alumni that will be there. And then we have from the coaching staff, Andrew Bailey, who, by the way, I did have on the podcast. It was in April this past year, shortly after the season started. So if you want to go back and check out that episode, you can just search Andrew Bailey, Locked On Red Sox, and the episode will come up. Highly recommend it. Very nice guy, very personable. Alex Cora, Pete Fatsi, Jose Flores, Chris Holt, Kyle Hudson, Dylan Lawson, Ben Rosenthal, Jason Veritek, and Ramon Vasquez. If you want a refresher on the coaching staff and who everybody is, I did release an episode about the Red Sox coaching staff recently where I discussed who was who and what their roles are. So if you're interested in going back to that episode as well, you can. But I love Veritek. I've always wanted to meet him, so it'd be cool for him to be there, and obviously Alex Cora too. So a good list of people that are going to be at this event in attendance, and it's really exciting for fans because it's a great way to feel like you're involved with the players and able to interact with them. And I love how the Red Sox do this event before they head to spring training because it means a lot for the fans to be able to actually get up close and personal with some of these guys. So I highly recommend going. If you haven't, you can purchase tickets online. Again, it's Saturday, January 11th. It's a one-day event, and it should be a great time for Red Sox fans and media members and players and coaches and everybody that's involved. It's a great event that I highly recommend you going to. Make sure that you let me know in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube who you're most excited to see there, or tweet at me about it. Send me a tweet saying which players or coaches or alumni you're most excited to see there, because this is absolutely a stacked list. And we as Red Sox fans are so blessed to have had so many legends to have put on that Red Sox uniform. So it should be a great event. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you are as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of you there. I've been able to interact with so many fans on Twitter through doing this show. So if you see me there, definitely feel free to say hi. I love talking Red Sox with people. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of you listeners at this event and hopefully talking about what the 2025 season is going to look like as I work to continue to get you excited about this upcoming season here on Locked On Red Sox, which, by the way, I do appreciate you taking the time to listen to and making it your first listen today. For your second listen, be sure to check out Locked On MLB with host Sully, who brings a daily blend of humor and baseball to his show to keep you up to date on everything going on around the league. So if you're interested in hearing about what's going on with the other teams, you can find his show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Sully is so fun. I've done episodes with him before, crossover episodes that are technically both of our show in one, and he is so much fun. I promise you won't be disappointed. Check that out next. Like I always say, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.